The moment Emma unwraps the pink dress from her grandparents, her smile fades instantly. She's digging through the tissue paper when her fingers find something sewn into the collar. A small locket falls out. She opens it and freezes completely. Inside is a photo of two identical little girls, but one of them looks exactly like me at that age. Emma whispers, "Mommy, who is this other girl that looks just like you?" My world tilts sideways as I stare at proof of a sister I never knew existed. I take the locket from Emma's trembling hands, my heart pounding so hard I can hear it in my ears. The photograph inside shows two little girls who couldn't be more than 4 years old, standing in front of what looks unmistakably like my childhood home in Ohio. They're wearing matching blue dresses with white collars, their hair styled in identical pigtails with yellow ribbons. But what makes my blood run cold is that one of these girls has a small scar above her left eyebrow, in the exact same spot where I got mine when I fell off my bike at age 5. "Emma, sweetie, let me see that dress again," I managed to say, my voice barely steady. She hands it over, looking confused and a little frightened by my reaction. I examine every inch of the pink fabric, running my fingers along the seams and checking every pocket. That's when I find it. Hidden in the lining near the hem is a small, carefully sewn pocket that would be invisible unless you were looking for it. Inside, my fingers close around a folded piece of paper. When I pull it out and unfold it, my hands start shaking so violently that I nearly drop it. It's a birth certificate for Jessica Marie Harrison, born on March 15th, 1991. The exact same date as my birthday, at Mercy General Hospital in Columbus, Ohio. The same hospital where I was born, with the same parents listed, Richard Thomas Harrison and Carol Ann Harrison. "Mommy, you're scaring me," Emma says, tugging at my sleeve. "What's wrong? Who is Jessica?" I stare at the document in disbelief. Jessica Marie Harrison, a twin sister I never knew existed. How is that even possible? My parents have never mentioned another child, never spoken of twins, never given me any reason to believe I had a sister somewhere in the world. I sink down onto the couch, still clutching the birth certificate and locket. Emma climbs up next to me, her 9-year-old face full of concern. "Mommy, is that lady in the picture my aunt?" The question hits me like a physical blow. An aunt. Emma has an aunt she's never met, an aunt I didn't know existed until 5 minutes ago. I think about all the times I've felt inexplicably lonely, even surrounded by people. All the dreams I've had about playing with another little girl who looked exactly like me. The strange sense of incompleteness I've carried my whole life. "I don't know, baby," I whisper, stroking her hair. "But I'm going to find out." I call my best friend Amanda, my voice shaking as I try to explain what just happened. "Amanda, you need to come over here right now. Something's wrong. Something's really, really wrong." She arrives within 20 minutes. Taking one look at my face, and immediately sending Emma upstairs to play in her room. I show her the locket and birth certificate, watching her expression change from confusion to shock to anger. "Jocelyn, this is insane," she says, examining the documents. "There has to be an explanation. Maybe she died when you were babies, and your parents didn't want to traumatize you by telling you." But even as she says it, neither of us believes it. If Jessica had died, why would they send evidence of her existence now? Why hide it in Emma's birthday gift like some twisted game? And why does the birth certificate look so fresh and new, not like something that's been stored away for 32 years? I spend the rest of the evening staring at that photograph, memorizing every detail. The way Jessica's hair falls slightly differently than mine did at that age. The confident way she's standing, one hand on her hip, while I'm more timid in the photo, hands clasped in front of me. But our faces are absolutely identical. Same eyes, same nose, same dimple in the left cheek. Emma keeps asking questions I can't answer. Why didn't Grandma and Grandpa tell us about Jessica? Where does she live? Can we meet her? Each question feels like a knife in my chest because I have no answers to give her. That night, after Emma finally falls asleep, I sit in my kitchen with the locket open on the table in front of me. I try to remember anything from my early childhood that might have been a clue. Were there toys for 2 children? Extra clothes in family photos? Anything that might have suggested I once shared my life with a twin sister? But there's nothing. My earliest clear memories start around age 6, and they're all of being an only child with loving but sometimes distant parents. I remember feeling lonely often, wishing I had a sibling to play with, to share secrets with. My parents always said I was enough for them, that they were perfectly happy with their one perfect daughter. The lie of that statement now feels like poison in my veins. By 7 the next morning, I'm standing on my parents' front porch, the locket and birth certificate clutched in my hands. Emma is staying with Amanda, because I have no idea how this conversation is going to go, but I know it won't be pretty. My mother, Carol, opens the door in her bathrobe, clearly not expecting visitors this early. When she sees my face and the documents in my hand, her expression shifts from surprise to what looks almost like fear. Jocelyn, honey, what are you doing here so early? Is everything all right? No, Mom, everything is not all right. I push past her into their living room, where my father Richard is sitting with his coffee and newspaper. He looks up when I enter, and I see the exact same fearful recognition in his eyes. We need to talk. Right now. I place the locket and birth certificate on their coffee table. Who is Jessica Marie Harrison? The silence that follows is deafening. My parents exchange a look that tells me everything I need to know. They recognize these items. They know exactly who Jessica is, and they've been deliberately keeping her existence from me. Jocelyn, where did you get these? My father asks, his voice carefully controlled. From Emma's birthday present, the one you sent. They were hidden inside the dress. I'm struggling to keep my voice level. Now I want answers. Who is Jessica? And why didn't you tell me I had a twin sister? My mother sinks into her chair, suddenly looking much older than her 64 years. Honey, those items must be fake. Someone's trying to hurt our family. Jessica isn't real. The casual way she lies to my face makes me see red. Don't you dare gaslight me, Mom. This is a real birth certificate. With your names on it. With my birthday on it. With the hospital where I was born. So I'll ask you one more time. Who is Jessica? My father sets down his newspaper with shaking hands. For a long moment, he just stares at the documents on the table. Then, to my complete shock, he starts to cry. She was your twin sister, he whispers. She died in a car accident when you girls were 5 years old. The words hit me like a physical blow. A twin sister who died. But even as grief starts to overwhelm me, something doesn't feel right about his story. A car accident? When? Where? Why don't I remember having a sister? Why don't I remember this accident? My mother jumps in, her voice urgent. You were so traumatized by losing Jessica that you blocked out all memory of her. The doctors said it was a protective mechanism. They recommended we not remind you of her, because it might cause permanent psychological damage. We moved to a new city right after the accident, my father adds, wiping his eyes. We wanted to give you a fresh start, away from all the painful memories. We thought we were protecting you. I stare at them, trying to process this information. A twin sister I loved and lost, so traumatic that I erased her from my memory completely. It would explain the inexplicable loneliness, the dreams about another little girl, the feeling that something has always been missing from my life. But it doesn't explain why they would send evidence of her existence now, hidden in Emma's birthday gift like some kind of cruel joke. I want to see her death certificate, I say firmly. I want to see the accident report. I want to see her grave. My parents exchange another look, and this time I catch something that makes my stomach clench. It's not grief I see in their eyes. It's panic. The paperwork was all lost in a house fire about 10 years ago, my mother says quickly. You remember, the fire at our old house in Columbus. Everything was destroyed, and we had her cremated, my father adds. There's no grave to visit. Every word they speak makes me more suspicious. The explanations are too convenient, too neat. And there's something about their body language that screams deception. Then why send these items now? If you've spent 32 years protecting me from painful memories, why hide evidence of Jessica in Emma's birthday present? They have no answer for that. My mother just keeps shaking her head, insisting that someone must have planted the items to hurt our family. My father claims they have no idea how those things ended up in the dress they sent. But I know they're lying. I can see it in every gesture, hear it in every word. These are not the reactions of grieving parents who lost a child. These are the reactions of people who've been caught in a massive deception. I leave their house more confused than ever. But now I'm absolutely determined to find the truth. Whatever happened to Jessica, whatever my parents are hiding, I'm going to uncover it. And if my twin sister is somehow still alive out there, I'm going to find her. For the next 3 days, I barely sleep. I spend every free moment researching, digging through online records, newspaper archives, and public databases. I'm looking for any mention of a car accident in Columbus, Ohio, around the time I would have been 5 years old, involving a child named Jessica Harrison. I find nothing. No accident reports, no obituaries, no death certificates for any Jessica Harrison born in 1991. It's as if she simply vanished from existence after that birth certificate was issued. That's when I make the decision to hire a private investigator. Detective Mark Thompson comes highly recommended for finding missing persons and uncovering family secrets. He's a former police officer with 20 years of experience and a reputation for getting results. When I show him the locket and birth certificate, his expression becomes very serious. "Mrs. Jocelyn, I need to ask you something directly. Are you prepared for the possibility that your sister might be alive?" The question stops my heart. What do you mean? I've seen cases like this before. When parents claim a child died but there are no death records, no accident reports, no evidence of tragedy, it usually means something else happened. Something the parents don't want discovered. He runs a preliminary search while I sit in his office, my hands clasped so tightly in my lap that my knuckles are white. Within an hour, he looks up from his computer with an expression I can't quite read. "Mrs. Jocelyn, Jessica Marie Harrison is alive. She's 32 years old, living in Portland, Oregon, working as a pediatric nurse at Oregon Health and Science University Hospital. She's married to a man named David Winters, and they have twin children of their own." The world tilts completely off its axis. Jessica is alive. My twin sister has been alive this entire time, living her life just 4 states away, while I grew up thinking I was an only child. There's more, Detective Thompson continues gently. Jessica has been trying to find your family for over 15 years. She's reached out to your parents multiple times through letters, emails, and phone calls. She's even hired investigators of her own to track you down. I can barely breathe. What did my parents tell her? According to the records I can access, they told her that you died in childhood. They've been telling her for years that her twin sister is dead. The cruelty of it hits me like a truck. Not only did my parents separate us and lie to me about Jessica's existence, but they've been lying to her about mine. She thinks I'm dead. She's been mourning me while I've been mourning a sister I never knew I had. Detective Thompson, I need you to find everything you can about what happened when we were separated. I need to know why my parents did this, how they did it, and how we can contact Jessica safely. He nods grimly. I'll start immediately. But Mrs. Jocelyn, you should prepare yourself. Cases like this usually involve some very dark family secrets. Are you sure you want to know the truth? I think about Emma, about the pink dress my parents sent with Jessica's items hidden inside. I think about the calculated cruelty of that action, designed to toy with my emotions and test my reactions. I need to know everything, I tell him. Whatever the truth is, it can't be worse than this lie I've been living. But I'm wrong. The truth, when it comes, is so much worse than I could have ever imagined. 2 days later, Detective Thompson calls me with news that makes me physically sick. He's found records showing that my parents have been in regular contact with Jessica for years, not to maintain a relationship, but to actively sabotage her search efforts. They've contacted every private investigator Jessica has hired and provided false information to throw her off track. They've moved addresses multiple times, specifically to make it harder for her to find them. And most horrifically, they've been intercepting letters and packages Jessica has sent over the years. Mrs. Jocelyn, I need you to come to my office immediately. There's something you need to see. When I arrive, he leads me to a storage facility across town. Using a key he obtained through legal channels during his investigation, he opens a unit that's been rented under a false name by my parents. Inside are boxes and boxes of items. Letters addressed to me in handwriting I don't recognize. Birthday and Christmas gifts still wrapped in their original packaging. Photo albums documenting a life I've never seen. These are all from Jessica, Detective Thompson explains quietly. She's been sending letters and gifts to you for over a decade. Your parents have been keeping everything. With trembling hands, I open the first letter, dated 3 years ago. Dear Jocelyn, I hope this letter finds you well and happy. I know you probably don't remember me, but I'm your twin sister, Jessica. I think about you every single day and wonder what your life is like. I've been trying to reach you for so long, and I hope someday we can meet again. I'm married now to a wonderful man named David, and we have twin children who would love to meet their aunt. Please, if you get this letter, contact me. I miss you so much it hurts. Love always, your sister Jessica. I collapse onto the floor of the storage unit, surrounded by years of evidence of a sister who has never stopped loving me, never stopped trying to reach me. The depth of my parents' betrayal is beyond comprehension. They didn't just separate us. They've been actively, deliberately keeping us apart for decades, ensuring that neither of us would ever know the truth. Over the next week, Detective Thompson and I worked together to piece together the full scope of my parents' deception. What we discover is a level of calculated cruelty that I struggle to believe my own parents are capable of. The letters from Jessica paint a heartbreaking picture of a woman who has spent her entire adult life searching for her missing twin. The earliest letter is dated when she turned 18, written in the careful handwriting of a teenager desperate to reconnect with her family. Dear Mom, Dad, and Jocelyn, my name is Jessica Marie Harrison, and I believe you are my biological family. I was adopted when I was 5 years old and told my birth parents couldn't care for me anymore. I've been searching for you for 3 years now. Please, if you receive this letter, I just want to know that you're okay. I don't need anything from you. I just want to know my sister is alive and happy. My adoptive parents are wonderful people, but I've always felt like part of me was missing. Please write back. Love, Jessica. The letters progress through the years, documenting Jessica's life in heartbreaking detail. Her high school graduation, where she saved an empty seat hoping her twin sister might somehow appear. Her nursing school acceptance letter, which she wanted to share with the sister she barely remembered but never stopped loving. Her wedding day, when she carried a photo of 2 little girls in her bouquet because she couldn't carry her actual sister. But the most devastating letters are the recent ones, where Jessica's hope has begun to fade into desperate grief. Dear Jocelyn, I don't know if you're alive or dead, and not knowing is killing me. I hired another private investigator this year, and he told me our parents said you died when we were children. But I don't believe it. I can't believe it. I would have felt it if you died, wouldn't I? Twins are supposed to have that connection. Please, if you're out there somewhere, if you're getting these letters, send me a sign. Any sign. I need to know I'm not alone in the world. Love, your twin sister, Jessica. Detective Thompson shows me documentation, proving that Jessica has been sending birthday and Christmas presents for Emma for the past 5 years. She found out about her niece through social media research and has been trying to build a relationship with her, even though they've never met. She's been contributing to a college fund for Emma, Detective Thompson explains, showing me bank records. $500 every month for the past 3 years. She wants to make sure her niece has opportunities, even if she can't be part of her life. The gifts Jessica sent are beautiful and thoughtful. Handmade photo albums showing her own children. David and Sophie, who are Emma's age. Art supplies because Jessica remembered that I loved to draw as a child and hoped Emma might have inherited that talent. Books about nursing and science because Jessica wanted to inspire her niece to pursue education and career goals. But perhaps the most heartbreaking discovery is Jessica's medical history, which she's been trying to share with our family for years. She was born with a rare genetic condition that requires monitoring, and she's been trying to warn me and Emma about potential health risks we might share. Your parents have been actively sabotaging her search efforts, Detective Thompson explains, showing me phone records and email exchanges. They've contacted her private investigators and provided false information. They told one investigator that you moved to Europe and changed your name. They told another that you were in witness protection and couldn't be contacted. The evidence of their manipulation is overwhelming. My parents haven't just been passive in keeping Jessica and me apart. They've been actively, aggressively working to ensure we never find each other. But why? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know the answer. Why would they do this? What could possibly motivate parents to keep their daughters apart for 30 years? Detective Thompson's expression is grim. That's what we need to find out next. But Mrs. Jocelyn, I need to warn you. In my experience, when parents go to these lengths to hide the truth, it's usually because they've done something they know is unforgivable. That night, I sit in my living room surrounded by Jessica's letters and gifts, trying to understand the magnitude of what's been stolen from us. 30 years of sisterhood, 30 years of shared birthdays, holidays, milestones. Emma has been denied her aunt, and Jessica's children have been denied their cousin. But more than that, Jessica and I have been denied each other. The twin bond that should have been the foundation of both our lives has been severed by people who claim to love us. I make a decision that night. Whatever the truth is about why we were separated, whatever my parents have done, I'm going to make sure it never happens again. I'm going to find Jessica, and I'm going to make sure our children grow up knowing each other. But first, I need to understand exactly what my parents did and why they did it. Because the more I learn about their deception, the more convinced I become that there's something even darker at the heart of this story. Detective Thompson's investigation into our early childhood takes another week, but when he calls me to his office, his expression is so grave that I know I'm about to learn something that will change everything. Mrs. Jocelyn, I found court records from when you and Jessica were 5 years old. What I'm about to tell you is going to be very difficult to hear. He slides a folder across his desk. Inside are documents from a private adoption agency in Ohio, dated 27 years ago. The paperwork shows that my parents voluntarily surrendered Jessica for adoption, claiming they were unable to care for both children due to financial hardship and family circumstances. They chose to keep you and give away Jessica, Detective Thompson says quietly. It wasn't an emergency placement or a tragic accident. It was a calculated decision. The words don't make sense at first. Parents don't just choose one child over another. That's not how families work. But as I read through the documents, the horrible reality becomes clear. The adoption agency paperwork includes psychological evaluations of both Jessica and me, conducted when we were 4 years old. The evaluator described me as compliant, quiet, and easily managed while characterizing Jessica as strong-willed, demanding, and challenging to authority figures. There's a handwritten note from my mother in the file. We feel that Jocelyn's temperament is better suited to our family dynamic. Jessica requires more attention and intervention than we are equipped to provide. My father's statement is even more cold-blooded. We researched both children's personalities and behavioral patterns extensively. We believe keeping Jocelyn and placing Jessica will result in the best outcome for our family's stability and financial situation. They evaluated us like we were products, not children. They studied our personalities and decided which daughter was worth keeping and which was too much trouble. But the most devastating discovery comes when Detective Thompson shows me the financial records. The adoption wasn't just about choosing the easier child. The Winters family, Jessica's adoptive parents, established a trust fund as part of the adoption agreement. They wanted to ensure Jessica's birth parents would be financially stable, so they wouldn't try to reclaim her later. My parents have been receiving payments from this trust fund for 27 years. $1,200 a month, every month, supposedly to help with the trauma and adjustment of giving up their daughter. They've been paid over $300,000 for abandoning Jessica. They've been profiting from her abandonment this entire time, I whisper, staring at bank records that show regular deposits going back decades. Detective Thompson nods grimly. And there's more. The Winters family has been contributing to the fund voluntarily, even after the original agreement expired. They've been sending extra money for Jessica's college education, her wedding, her children's needs. They thought they were helping her birth family cope with their loss. The cruel irony is overwhelming. Jessica's adoptive family has been financially supporting the people who abandoned her, never knowing that those same people have been actively working to keep Jessica from reuniting with her biological family. But the investigation reveals an even more sinister layer to my parents' deception. Detective Thompson found email exchanges between my mother and father from just 2 years ago, discussing their Jessica situation like it was a business arrangement. In one email, my mother writes, "The girl is getting more persistent with her search efforts. We might need to consider more drastic measures to ensure she stops looking for Jay." My father's response chills me to the bone. "We've invested too much in this arrangement to let sentiment ruin everything now. If Jessica succeeds in finding Jocelyn, we lose everything we've built." They're not just keeping us apart out of some misguided protective instinct, I realize out loud. They're doing it because they're afraid of losing their blood money. Detective Thompson shows me the most recent financial documents. My parents used money from Jessica's trust fund to buy their current house, fund their comfortable retirement, and even contribute to Emma's college fund. They've built their entire lifestyle on the profits from abandoning their daughter. There's something else, Detective Thompson says carefully. The Winters family doesn't know about you. They were told Jessica's twin sister died in infancy. They've been grieving for a child who never existed while supporting the people who separated her from her living sister. The scope of my parents' lies expands beyond anything I could have imagined. They haven't just deceived Jessica and me. They've deceived the loving family who raised Jessica, making them unknowing accomplices in keeping us apart. That evening, I sit with Emma and try to explain what I've learned in terms a 9-year-old can understand. But how do you tell a child that her grandparents sold her aunt, like she was property? How do you explain that the people she trusts chose money over family? Mommy, are you saying Grandma and Grandpa are bad people? Emma asks, her voice small and confused. The question breaks my heart because the answer is yes. My parents, who have been loving grandparents to Emma, who have given her gifts and attention and affection, are the same people who evaluated their twin daughters, like merchandise, and chose to keep one while selling the other. They made very bad choices, baby, I tell her. And those choices hurt a lot of people, including your Aunt Jessica, who's been looking for us her whole life. Emma is quiet for a long moment. Then she asks the question that's been haunting me. Are we going to find her now? Are we going to bring her home? I hold my daughter close and make her a promise. Yes, sweetheart. We're going to find Jessica, and we're going to make sure she knows she's loved and wanted. And we're going to make sure nothing like this ever happens to our family again. But first, I need to confront my parents one final time. Not to give them a chance to explain or justify what they've done, but to let them know that their 30-year deception is over, and there will be consequences for what they've stolen from their daughters. The morning after I discover the financial records, my phone starts ringing at 6 a.m. It's my father, and when I answer, his voice is frantic. Jocelyn, we need to talk immediately. Someone has been spreading lies about our family, and you can't believe anything you've heard. I let him talk for several minutes, listening to him spin an elaborate story about how Jessica is actually a disturbed woman who's been stalking our family for years, pretending to be my sister for financial gain. According to him, the documents Detective Thompson found are all forgeries created by someone trying to destroy our family. Dad, stop lying to me, I interrupt. I've seen the bank records. I know about the trust fund payments. I know you've been paid over $300,000 for abandoning Jessica. The silence on the other end of the line stretches so long I think he might have hung up. When he finally speaks, his voice has changed completely. Gone is the frantic desperation, replaced by cold calculation. If you pursue this investigation any further, Jocelyn, you're going to lose Emma. The threat is so unexpected and vicious that it takes my breath away. What are you talking about? We've been documenting concerning behaviors in your parenting for over a year now. Your emotional instability, your tendency to believe conspiracy theories, your inability to maintain stable relationships. We have everything we need to petition for emergency custody of Emma. My hands start shaking as the full scope of their manipulation becomes clear. The pink dress with Jessica's items wasn't just a cruel game. It was bait, designed to trigger exactly the kind of investigation and emotional response they could use against me in court. You've been planning this, I realize. You sent that dress knowing I'd find Jessica's things. You wanted me to react badly so you could use it against me. We wanted to see if you were psychologically stable enough to handle the truth. My mother's voice comes through the phone. She must have picked up the extension. And clearly, you're not. You're having a complete breakdown over ancient history that doesn't matter anymore. Detective Thompson, who is listening to this conversation on speakerphone from across my kitchen table, immediately starts taking notes. We've been recording all communications with my parents since yesterday, and this conversation is providing evidence of their psychological manipulation tactics. Emma belongs with stable grandparents who can provide consistency and emotional security, my father continues. Not with a mother who's chasing fantasies about imaginary sisters. But their threats have revealed something they probably didn't intend to expose. If they're this desperate to stop my investigation, it means there's something even worse they're hiding. And their mention of ancient history suggests that whatever happened when Jessica and I were separated was more traumatic and criminal than even I've imagined. That afternoon, I drive to my parents' house one final time, but I'm not going alone. Detective Thompson accompanies me, along with a family law attorney named Patricia Reeves who specializes in parental rights cases. We're not going to argue or negotiate. We're going to confront my parents with all the evidence and give them one chance to tell the complete truth before legal proceedings begin. When my mother opens the door and sees our group, her face goes white. Jocelyn, what is this? Who are these people? This is Detective Thompson, who's been investigating Jessica's disappearance, and Patricia Reeves, my attorney. We need to have a final conversation about what really happened when Jessica and I were 5 years old. We sit in their living room while Detective Thompson lays out all the evidence. The adoption paperwork, the financial records, the intercepted letters from Jessica, the documentation of their efforts to sabotage her search. With each piece of evidence, my parents become more defensive and hostile. Finally, my mother breaks. Fine. We gave her away. We couldn't handle 2 children. And we made a choice. Jessica was impossible to manage, and we knew she'd have a better life with people who could afford to deal with her behavior problems. And you've been taking money for it ever since? Attorney Reeves points out calmly. That money was compensation for our pain and loss, my father snaps. Do you have any idea what it's like to give up a child? We deserved that support. What about Jessica's pain? I ask. What about her loss? She spent 30 years looking for a family that abandoned her for money. That's when my mother says something that reveals the true depth of their selfishness. Jessica was fine. She got adopted by rich people who spoiled her. She had advantages we never could have given her. We did her a favor. And what about me? I stand up, my voice rising. What about 30 years of wondering why I felt incomplete? What about Emma growing up without her aunt? What about Jessica's children growing up without their cousin? My father's response is the most chilling thing I've ever heard him say. You turned out fine without her. Emma doesn't need an aunt. She's never met. Why ruin a perfectly good life by dragging up old problems? That's when I realize my parents aren't capable of understanding what they've done wrong. They genuinely believe that their financial comfort and convenience justify separating twin sisters and lying about it for 30 years. They feel no remorse, no guilt, no recognition that they've committed a profound act of cruelty against their own children. Attorney Reeves leans forward. Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, you should know that abandoning a child and accepting financial compensation for that abandonment constitutes several serious crimes. Additionally, your threats regarding Emma's custody could be construed as extortion. We're prepared to file charges with the FBI, Detective Thompson adds. Child abandonment across state lines falls under federal jurisdiction, as does the financial fraud you've committed against the Winters family. My parents exchange a look of pure panic. For the first time in this entire ordeal, they're realizing that their actions have consequences beyond their control. But I'm not done yet. I have one more revelation that's going to destroy their carefully constructed world completely. There's something else you need to know, I tell them. Tomorrow morning, I'm calling Jessica. I'm going to tell her the truth about everything. And then I'm going to make sure she gets every penny of that trust fund money back, plus compensation for 30 years of emotional damage. My mother starts crying then. But they're not tears of remorse. They're tears of self-pity. The tears of people who are upset that their profitable lies are finally being exposed. "You're destroying this family," she sobs. "Everything we worked for, everything we built. You're going to ruin it all for a stranger." "Jessica isn't a stranger," I tell her firmly. "She's my sister. She's Emma's aunt. She's part of this family whether you like it or not. And she's going to stay part of this family for the rest of our lives." As we leave their house, I feel a mixture of relief and determination. The confrontation is over, but the real work is just beginning. Tomorrow, I'm going to call the sister I've been missing my entire life and start the process of healing 30 years of damage. But tonight, for the first time since I found that locket in Emma's birthday dress, I feel hopeful. Jessica and I have been kept apart by lies and manipulation and greed, but we're going to find each other again. And this time, no one is going to separate us. The next morning, I wake up before dawn and sit in my kitchen with Jessica's phone number written on a piece of paper in front of me. Detective Thompson found her contact information, but calling her feels like the most important and terrifying thing I've ever done. What do you say to a twin sister you haven't seen in 30 years? How do you explain that you're not dead? That you've been looking for her too? That your parents have been lying to both of you for decades? At exactly 8 a.m. Portland time, I dial the number. "Hello?" The voice that answers sounds exactly like my own, and I nearly drop the phone. "Jessica? This is Jocelyn. Your twin sister. I'm alive." The silence on the other end of the line lasts so long that I start to worry she's hung up. Then I hear her crying, soft sobs that break my heart and heal it at the same time. "Jocelyn? Is it really you? I knew you weren't dead. I knew it. I could feel it." We talk for 3 hours straight. Jessica tells me about growing up with the Winters family, who are wonderful people but could never fill the hole left by losing her twin sister. She tells me about becoming a nurse because she wanted to help children the way she wished someone had helped us. She tells me about her husband David, who has supported her search for our family from the day they met. Most importantly, she tells me about her children. David and Sophie are 7 years old, twins like us, and they've grown up hearing stories about the aunt they've never met but who their mother loves desperately. "I have pictures," Jessica says, her voice full of joy and tears. "I have pictures of them, pictures of my wedding, pictures of everything I wanted to share with you. I've been saving them for 30 years. I tell her about Emma, about my life as a single mother, about the pink dress that started this whole discovery. When I describe finding the locket with our childhood photo, Jessica starts crying again. "That was my favorite picture of us," she says. "I gave it to Mom when I was 18, hoping she'd send it to you. I never imagined they were keeping us apart on purpose." By the end of our conversation, we've made plans for her to fly to my city the following weekend. 3 days feels impossibly long to wait, but Jessica needs time to arrange care for her patients and to prepare David and Sophie for meeting their aunt and cousin. While Jessica makes her travel arrangements, I focus on the legal aspects of our situation. Attorney Reeves files formal complaints with the FBI and the Ohio Department of Children and Family Services. The charges include child abandonment, fraud, extortion, and obstruction of justice. Detective Thompson's evidence makes the case straightforward. The adoption paperwork proves my parents voluntarily surrendered Jessica while lying to the Winters family about her circumstances. The financial records prove they've been profiting from her abandonment for decades. The intercepted letters prove they've been actively preventing our reunion. Most damaging of all are the recorded phone calls where they threatened to take Emma away from me if I continued investigating. Those recordings provide clear evidence of extortion and psychological manipulation. The FBI investigation moves quickly because interstate child abandonment is a serious federal crime. Within a week, agents are interviewing my parents and seizing their financial records. The Winters family, who are devastated to learn they've been unknowingly funding the people who kept Jessica from her sister, provide additional evidence of my parents' deception. But the most satisfying legal development is the protective order that prevents my parents from contacting Emma or me ever again. The court recognizes the pattern of manipulation and abuse, ensuring that Emma will grow up free from their toxic influence. The weekend Jessica arrives is the most emotional few days of my life. When I see her walking through the airport terminal, it's like looking in a mirror, but a mirror that reflects the life I should have lived. She's confident where I'm reserved, outgoing where I'm cautious. But when we hug for the first time in 30 years, it feels like coming home. Emma adores her Aunt Jessica immediately. They have the same laugh, the same way of tilting their heads when they're thinking, the same stubborn streak that I recognize from my own childhood. Jessica brings pictures and videos of David and Sophie, and Emma is thrilled to learn she has cousins who look just like their mothers looked at that age. It's like our family doubled overnight, Emma tells me that night. I always wanted more family, and now I have an aunt and 2 cousins and even cousin Uncle David. Jessica and I spend hours talking, comparing our childhoods and marveling at the similarities despite being raised in completely different environments. We both became caretakers in our professions, she as a nurse, me as a social worker. We both have the same nervous habits, the same taste in music, the same way of organizing our thoughts. Most amazingly, we both dreamed about each other throughout our lives. Jessica dreamed about a sister who looked exactly like her but seemed sad and lost. I dreamed about a sister who was confident and strong. In our dreams, we were trying to find each other, calling out across vast spaces but never quite connecting. The twin bond never really broke, Jessica explains during one of our late-night conversations. It just went underground. Part of me always knew you were out there. 6 months after that first phone call, Jessica and I have created the family we always should have had. She moved to a city just 2 hours away from me, bringing David and Sophie so our children can grow up together. We celebrate our birthdays together for the first time since we were 4 years old, surrounded by our children and the chosen family we've built. The legal consequences for my parents are severe but satisfying. They face federal charges that will likely result in prison time, and they're required to pay full restitution to the Winters family and to Jessica. Their comfortable lifestyle, built on blood money from abandoning their daughter, has collapsed completely. More importantly, they have no contact with their grandchildren and never will. Emma, David, and Sophie are growing up understanding that family is about love and truth and protection, not manipulation and lies. Jessica's medical training has been invaluable in helping both of us process the psychological impact of our separation. She's guided our healing with the same compassion she shows her young patients, helping us understand that the trauma of losing each other affected us both profoundly, even when we couldn't remember why we felt incomplete. The most beautiful development is watching our children together. Emma, David, and Sophie have formed an immediate and unbreakable bond. They call each other twin cousins and insist on matching clothes when we get together. They've created the childhood connection that Jessica and I were denied. On our 33rd birthday, the first birthday we celebrate together as adults, Jessica gives me a gift that makes me cry. It's a photo album documenting every year of her life, with empty spaces on each page labeled, "For when I find Jocelyn." She's been saving room for me in her memories for 30 years. I always knew this day would come, she tells me, as we look through the pictures together. I never stopped believing we'd find each other again. Emma, now 10 years old, gives the toast at our birthday dinner. Surrounded by our children, Jessica's adoptive parents, who have embraced me as another daughter, and our chosen family of close friends, she raises her juice glass and says, "I'm glad Grandma and Grandpa sent that pink dress, even though they were mean people, because now I have the best aunt in the world, and my mom isn't sad anymore." The life lesson I share with Emma that night is one that Jessica and I learned through years of pain and separation. Family isn't just about blood or who raised you. It's about love, truth, and choosing to protect each other. Sometimes the greatest gifts come from the most painful revelations, and healing is always possible when you have the courage to face the truth. Jessica and I end our story knowing we've broken the cycle of deception and manipulation that defined our parents' version of family. We've created a foundation of honesty, love, and protection for our children that will last for generations. David and Sophie know their aunt loves them. Emma knows her aunt has been searching for her since before she was born. And all 3 children know that no one will ever separate their family again. The twin bond that was severed by greed and cruelty has been restored by truth and love. Jessica and I are no longer the lost little girls reaching for each other across impossible distances. We're grown women who found each other against all odds and built something beautiful from the ashes of betrayal. We're home. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever discovered a family secret that changed everything you thought you knew about your life? How did you handle learning that people you trusted had been deceiving you? Share your stories in the comments below. Your experiences might help others who are facing similar revelations. If this story moved you, please like this video to help others find it. Subscribe to hear more stories about family secrets, betrayal, and the courage it takes to seek the truth. And share this with anyone who might need to hear about the power of persistence and the importance of never giving up on the people you love. Thank you for listening to my story and for being part of this community where we can share our experiences and support each other through difficult truths. Remember, sometimes the most painful discoveries lead to the most beautiful healing. Keep believing in the power of truth and never stop fighting for the family connections that matter most. Until next time, hold your loved ones close and never take the gift of family for granted.